Welcome to the Phoenix Islands Protected Area, the largest marine protected area in the world. This unique group of islands is a gem found in the Pacific Ocean known for its marine abundance because of its isolation. The Phoenix Islands are located within the Republic of Kiribati, lying in the west central Pacific Ocean in between Australia and Hawaii. There are 8 atolls and low reef islands that make up this protected area, but there are many more parts that make up this protected area that are unseen. Many large volcanoes lie beneath the surface of the water. They are designated as submerged seamounts. Now that we know a little bit about the islands and where they are located, let's dive into the history of the Phoenix Islands. Around 3,000 to 5,000 years ago, canoe explorers mapped the South Pacific. The Phoenix Islands were overlooked because of their small size. There seemed to be very few settlements on the islands during prehistoric times because insufficient water sources forced them to move. To this day, Phoenix Islands don't have any permanent inhabitants. Catan is the only island with non-permanent inhabitants. There are approximately 40 people on the island. There are government employees and their families engaged in protection and management of Kiribati interests in the region. However, the islands and surrounding waters have been impacted by whalers. In the 1800s, American whalers found their waters around the islands to be rich with sperm whales. The hunting of these sperm whales has played a huge impact on the population of the whales and litter in the waters. The sperm whales were very much overhunted that today the waters are still lacking in the whales. Artifacts from the whaling can be found all throughout the waters of the Phoenix Islands. Aside from the whale populations, companies became interested in their phosphate-rich guano that was on the island. After years of use by British and American guano mining and shipping companies, the Phoenix Islands were placed under the jurisdiction of the British Gilbert and Ellice Islands Colony in 1937.
2 years later, the United States became interested in these islands and claimed Catan and Enderbury Islands. The two countries agreed to jointly control these islands for a period of 50 years, which started in 1939 and ended prematurely in 1979 when Kiribati declared independence. PIPA was established by the Republic of Kiribati through a collaboration between the government and 2 partner institutions, the New England Aquarium and Conservation International. In 1999, a group of international scientists led by Dr. Gregory Stone of the New England Aquarium explored the islands and decided to propose to the Kiribati government total protection of the islands because of their richness of biodiversity. In 2002, the name PIPA was born, standing for Phoenix Islands Protected Area. A U.S.-based conservation foundation called Conservation International joined efforts with the government of Kiribati to help protect PIPA. Later, in 2006, the Phoenix Islands was declared a protected area in the United Nations Convention of Biodiversity. 2 years later, the Phoenix Islands were placed under the Kiribati Environment Act in order to legally protect the 8 islands in their territorial waters. In 2009, the PIPA Conservation Trust Act was passed in Parliament, opening up the way for international supporters to provide donations towards the cost of protecting the PIPA, and providing compensations of revenues to be foregone in the event of a full closure and total ban of commercial fishing in the protected area. Then, in 2010, PIPA was enlisted in the UNESCO's World Heritage. It is the largest and deepest marine protected area in the World Heritage. Years later, just as they had planned with the Conservation Trust Act, on January 1, 2015, all forms of commercial fishing were banned. The PIPA was found to be the spawning and breeding grounds for tuna. This leads us straight into talking about the threats of the Phoenix Islands. But before we talk about how they manage the threats, let's address what category our protected area is. PIPA is managed as a wilderness area, Category 1B, in the IUCN.
According to the official PIPA website, Phoenix Island's main direct threat is illegal activities such as fishing without a license and overfishing in the PIPA area. Because Kiribati is a developing country, they cannot afford extensive surveillance to monitor who is at sea. This prevents the government from knowing if illegal fishing is taking place in the area. In this case, the indirect threat is that Kiribati is an impoverished country, making it difficult to afford adequate surveillance. Up until 2015, Kiribati could only afford to rent 1 patrolling boat per year from Australia. During 2015, the patrol boat, called RKS Teanoi, had to pursue an illegal fishing boat for 4 days before finally catching it. The fishermen were fined $2 million. Situations like this demonstrate why surveillance in the PIPA area is a major issue. Fortunately, starting in 2016, the Kiribati government was able to rent 10 boats a year using funding from the Ted Wyatt Foundation and Oceans 5 Foundation. They also were able to purchase an improved satellite system called the Vessel Monitoring System. These satellites are run by the Pacific Fisheries Forum Agency, and they keep track of the fishing boats, making sure that they are licensed to fish in the acceptable areas. In addition to the satellites and the 10 boats provided by the Kiribati government, other countries such as New Zealand, Australia, France, and the United States also provide assistance by patrolling the PIPA area. The funding from the Ted Wyatt Foundation and Oceans 5 Foundation, along with these other countries, is helping manage the threat of illegal activities. A major indirect threat affecting PIPA is climate change. One of the main visible effects derived from this threat is coral bleaching. PIPA is a major source for scientific research on climate change and how coral reefs are being affected. In 2016, a group of scientists from Massachusetts discovered the coral reefs coming back alive after being bleached for years. This gives scientists hope that similar coral reefs will be able to replenish themselves after being damaged by climate change. In addition to the illegal activities and climate change, invasive species are threatening animal populations in this protected area. The occasional shipwreck is a minor threat to the protected area, with iron from ships changing the chemistry of the water and harming corals.
Management of these threats can be seen in a few different principles. New regulations from management implemented a complete ban on commercial fishing to combat overfishing from distant water fishing nations. Sperm whales, sharks, turtles, and tuna are present in the waters of the Phoenix Islands, and overfishing has been a consistent threat to these populations. The complete ban on commercial fishing has regulated the amount of boats in the protected area and made policing the area easier. Although capacity for enforcement is limited in the islands, some illegal fishing vessels have been successfully prosecuted. Management also has applied principles to climate change. Sea levels and water temperatures are rising and forcing management to focus on effective environmental planning. In July of 2002, the island saw an ocean hotspot which resulted in mass bleaching of corals. The pre- and post-monitoring of over 100 species of corals is part of management's goal to sustain coral populations in the Phoenix Islands, with heightened stress from climate change. The Asian rat formerly populated the island McKean and was harming the population of local birds. The effects were so intense, immediate decisive intervention from management was required. The rat was identified and eradicated by management. Years later, since the rat has been removed, bird populations have recovered significantly due to the absence of the rat. Immediate management actions successfully removed the rat before the damage to bird populations was too bad to naturally recover, therefore saving significant future costs and efforts to recover bird populations.